Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. So we have completed about foreign trade and foreign trade policies. Okay, all the policy reforms, foreign trade policy reforms we have discussed, and then we have discussed foreign trade policy 2015-2020. Okay, so in this session we are going to discuss about special economic zones. So I'll tell you what are special economic zones, what are the objectives of it. Okay, what is that SEZ Act 2005, the objectives of the act, and we will also discuss about certain issues which is related to special economic zones. Okay, we'll also compare it with China. Okay, what is special economic zones over there and in India. Okay, then we will also discuss about some special types of special economic zones like reverse SEZ, finance SEZ, everything. Okay, so it will be a short lecture and we will cover all those things that we have discussed now. Now, if you have any doubts related to any topics that I have covered so far, you can get in touch with me. So this is my Instagram ID. Okay, any questions you can ask me here. So let's get started. So what do you mean by special economic zones? See, these are some special areas which are notified to be located outside the domestic tariff area. So okay, so it is notified to be located outside the domestic tariff area. That means they can import anything without having any duty, any customs duty. They don't want to pay customs duty, they can import anything, but there are certain conditions. They must be net forex earners. Okay, then they can import anything without having any customs duty. Okay, so let's write it down. So these are areas, so special economic zones. These are areas which are notified to be located outside the domestic tariff area. Okay, so DTA. So that means they can import anything and there is no custom duty. There is a condition: firms located in SEZs can import anything of any value duty free, but what is the condition? They must be the net forex earners. Okay, that means more than what they are importing they should be exporting. Okay, so but such firms must be net forex earners. Okay, so this is a condition that you need to know. So what do you mean by special economic zones? These are areas which are notified to be located outside the domestic tariff area. Okay, now they can import anything of any value duty free. The condition is they must be net forex earners. Now some other points related to SEZ. Obviously the advantages, liberal economic laws. Okay, so liberal economic laws. Okay, then the tax rebates. So tax rebates actually we have discussed in the module taxation, and in that first lecture, taxation 1, we have covered tax rebates, tax deduction, different types of tax. Okay, the different types of taxes and everything we have covered, incidence of tax, impact of tax, all those concepts we have covered. So there we have discussed about tax rebate, and I have discussed it in detail, what do you mean by tax rebate and how is it calculated, and everything we have discussed. So next, actually there will be a developed infrastructure. Okay, so these are the key points that we need to discuss when we discuss about SEZ. Now we'll move on to that SEZ Act. So we'll start with the objectives of SEZ Act. Okay, so SEZ Act 2005. So there are mainly 5 objectives. Okay, so we will write down the objectives. So obviously the first and most important objective is increase exports of goods and services. Okay, so increase export of goods and services. Second one, promote investment, that is domestic and foreign. Okay, so domestic and foreign. Third one, infrastructure development. Okay, that is another objective of SEZ. Fourth one, employment generation. Fifth one is basically to create additional economic opportunity. Okay, so to create additional economic activity. So these are the 5 objectives of SEZs. increase exports of goods and services, promote investment, that is both domestic and foreign investment, infrastructure development, employment generation to create additional economic activity. Now, earlier instead of SEZ, we actually had export processing zones. Okay, so we had EPZs. Okay, but this difference is actually in SEZs we are actually having both goods and services. In EPZ only we have goods. Okay, so export processing zones we are only promoting goods. Okay, so when it comes to SEZ, both goods and services has been taken care. And the first EPZ in Asia was in Kandla, that is in Gujarat, established in 1965. Then totally we had 8 EPZs. Okay, and that all EPZs are converted to 8 SEZs in 2000. Okay, but this 8 EPZs are converted to 8 SEZs in 2000, but you need to remember that the act was in 2005. Just like if you remember when we discussed about 1773 regulating act, okay, we have told that the second provision was basically to establish a Supreme Court. Okay, so a Supreme Court has to be established, and the provision was in 1773, but the court was established in 1774. So like that, there will be a difference between the year in which it was established and the actual act. So here the act is much later, that is in 2005, but this happened in 2000. So now let's move on to SEZ Act. So let's try to understand that key points. Okay, SEZ Act 2005. So the first feature is actually it seeks to liberalize the policy of establishment of SEZs in the private sector. Okay, it established board of approval as a single window SEZ approval authority. Okay, so who was the head of this? The head of this actually a commerce secretary was the head of this board of approval. Okay, so what is this point is all about? It seeks to liberalize the policy of establishment of SEZs in the private sector. So private sector, the establishment of SEZs, the rules are actually liberalized, and board of approval was created, that is a single window approval authority, so that things will go faster and smoother. Okay, secondly, you can also see there will be tax rebates. Okay, so tax rebates, apart from we have already discussed that there is no customs duty. They can actually import anything duty free, provided they need to be net forex earners. Okay, so already that import duty is not there, the custom duty is not there. Apart from that, they will also get certain tax rebates. Like this means exemption from excise, service tax, central sales tax. Okay, now we have already discussed about these different types of taxes. What do you mean by excise tax? This is actually imposed on production. Okay, actually on the manufacturers excise was imposed. And what about sales tax, or that is different thing, we will discuss that later. We have already discussed in taxation, it was actually imposed on the traders or the wholesalers. Okay, or the distributors. Okay, if you classify into two levels, production level it is excise, and at the distribution level it is a sales. Now in service tax, why we are not classifying as production and distribution is because there is no separate production and distribution in case of service. It is not that you produce something and you stored it for a long time and then you are distributing it. That is not happening. The production as well as distribution is actually happening at the same time. So in service you cannot classify like production tax and distribution tax. You can only have the service tax. That's why this difference is not there in service sector actually. Okay, so excise was actually on production of goods. Okay, and the other one, it is actually state VAT. Okay, all those things was merged into GST that we will be discussing. Okay, we will be discussing that. So sales tax is actually at the distribution level. Now why central sales tax? See, sales tax is actually at the state. Okay, state is actually getting the sales tax. So where the items are sold, there you will be getting the sales tax. Okay, now central sales tax means center will collect some sales tax that is within the center. Why it is actually done? Because let's suppose if you consider two states, let's say Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Okay, the production is more in Tamil Nadu actually. Okay, so if the production is there in Tamil Nadu, and if they are not selling anything in Tamil Nadu, if they are actually selling this in Kerala, okay, so many firms are there in Tamil Nadu, but they are not selling in Kerala. What is actually going to happen? Tamil Nadu government is not going to get anything because excise is directly imposed by the center. Okay, so for the production, it is excise which will go to the center. So Tamil Nadu government is not getting anything for the production. State governments will get only at the level of sales tax, right? Now it is directly sold at Kerala. So Kerala government will get that tax. So Tamil Nadu government is actually not getting anything. Excise tax is for the center and the VAT is actually for the state. So what will happen then? Tamil Nadu actually won't promote any manufacturing or production because they are ultimately not getting any benefit. The production the center is getting benefit, and when it is sold outside, it is actually the other state is getting benefit. Tamil Nadu government is not getting anything. To offset that, okay, to prevent that, to do some support, central sales tax is there, so the center can collect and can give it to the Tamil Nadu government. Okay, so all those things we'll be discussing later in some other session, but now let's continue with our discussion. Okay, so I just told you this, there will be tax rebates. Next point is, when it comes to corporate income tax, there will be rebates in corporate income tax to units and developer. Okay, so there will be rebates in corporate income tax. So we have already discussed there is no import duty, there is no custom duty. Apart from that, there will be rebates in the corporate income tax. The next point, there will be exemption again from minimum alternate tax, MAT. We'll be discussing this in detail in taxation. Okay, and dividend distribution tax. Okay, minimum alternate tax and dividend distribution tax, so exempted, but later it was imposed. Okay, during this in this act this provision was there, but later it was imposed. So now SEZ is having these two tax. Okay, so they are not exempted now, it was imposed later. Now let's look into some statistics related to SEZ. Okay, so let's take from February 2006, okay, just after the act, and 2016. So number of SEZs, okay, number of SEZs in Feb 2006 it was actually 19, now it is 205. So you can see huge increase in number of SEZs. Okay, then investment in 2006 it was 4,000 crore. Okay, now it is increased to 4 lakh crore. Okay, so again you can see around 100 times increases there. Okay, now 100 times increases there means what percentage changes there? 9,900 percentage changes there. So I've already discussed in one of our previous video how to find the percentages faster. You just need to get that factor of multiplication, -1 add to 0. So here the factor of multiplication is actually 100, right? 4,000 into 100 will give you 4 lakh, -1 99, add 2 zeros, you get 9,900 percentage. It's like this only. 2 to 4, if you need to find the percentage change, you get this factor of multiplication, that is 2. 2 into 2 will give you 4. Then you do -1, so you'll get 1, add 2 zeros. So you can see 100% changes there. 6 to 36, 6 is the factor of multiplication, -1, so you'll get 500 percentage changes there. Okay, so like that, 100 to 1100, so you can see 11 -1, that is 10. Add 2 zeros, 1000 percentage changes there. Like that you can find the percentage changes faster by using this. So here you can see 9,900 percentage changes there in terms of investments. Now what about employment? 1.3 lakh in 2006. Now it was increased to 15 lakh. Okay, exports $5 billion was there. Now it was increased to $85 billion. Okay, so you can see drastic improvement in the 10 years in the performance of SEZs in terms of numbers, in terms of investment, in terms of employment generation, as well as in terms of exports. Now, okay, so what are the issues? we will quickly look into the issues also. So what will happen? Decrease in agricultural land, right? Decrease in agricultural land, so directly it will affect food security. Okay, directly it will affect food security because most of the agricultural land is actually used for construction of SEZs. Then rehabilitation of villages, rehabilitation of villages, that means the evicted people. See, when we discuss about the other evictions also, in case of multi-purpose project also, we will be discussing about the same point. Rehabilitation is actually a big problem, right? See, here also it is not only that physical rehabilitation that you're talking about. You need to have social rehabilitation, you need to have emotional rehabilitation, and in all ways you have to rehabilitate those people. Otherwise that is actually going to create a lot of social issues, and that will be a big problem later. Okay, so that is a big problem. Okay, so in case of SEZs, you have to rehabilitate those people, not only physically, you have to rehabilitate them emotionally and socially and in all ways. Okay, next, loss of livelihood for farmers. Okay, so not only they lost their land, okay, they couldn't undertake cultivation, and those agricultural laborers, they don't have any other option now, so they lost their livelihood. One more point, there is a loss of tax revenue. This is something which we have written for the purpose of writing one more extra point. Otherwise we are sacrificing this tax revenue because we are creating, we have discussed about a lot of positives, right? Investment is increased, employment generation is there, and then exports have been increased. That means forex is coming. So all those things we have actually discussed, all those were positives. Okay, so for that we are actually sacrificing this tax revenue, but just for the sake of writing a disadvantage or the issue, we are just writing this point. So I hope that is clear for all of you. So this is just for, in case if you get a critically analyzed question, you need to be in a position to write few points. So that's why we have written this point, and you can elaborate these 2 points in a better way. Otherwise it is actually good, and SEZ is very much desirable in terms of its employment generation. I have given you the statistics in 10 years what the changes have been brought by the SEZ. Employment generation, investment, export, infrastructure, and everywhere there is a big contribution from SEZs. Okay, so if it is discussed, everything is fine. If it is critically analyzed, you need to add these points. That's the idea. Okay, and there is a huge probability that the question will be asked in mains related to SEZs. Okay, now what is the difference between China and India? See, what do you think, in China or India more SEZs are there? China is exporting heavy, right? Huge exporter, and China is the largest exporter in the world because of SEZs only. So what do you think, China is having more SEZs? No, that is not correct. China is actually having 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 SEZs only, but all are big SEZs, and they all are located in the coastal areas, so the exports is going to be very easy also, and it's all big. Okay, now as I told you, we'll be discussing about 2 special types of SEZs. Okay, so special types of SEZs. The first one being reverse SEZ. So reverse SEZ means, see, instead of having an SEZ in India, we can have a special economic zone in a foreign country, provided there should be some cheap labor, cheap inputs, etc. So in that case, we can actually have SEZ in some other country. That is what you call as reverse SEZ. For example, we have an SEZ in Iran related to fertilizer, because one of the most important input is fuel, right? The petroleum products, so that you'll get it cheaper cost. Okay, so it all depends on the input and labor. So if you can get cheap labor, if you can get cheaper inputs, you can establish SEZ in a foreign country also, and that is what reverse SEZ. Okay, so let me write it down. These are special type of SEZ which are established in a foreign country, having cheap and abundant input / feedstock for importing their products to the home country. Okay, as we have discussed, if you have a cheap input, you can go to a foreign country and you can have an SEZ over there. So that's what reverse SEZ. And Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers is establishing a reverse SEZ in Chabhar port area of Iran. Okay, the reason I told you, you'll get fuel at a cheaper price. Okay, and that is one of the most important input for this fertilizers. Okay, next one is finance SEZ. Okay, so finance SEZ, International Finance Service Center, IFSC. Okay, see, it is actually a special type of SEZ where laws related to the financial sector like banks, financial institutions and all are very liberal. Okay, and it actually promote this derivative trading, speculative trading. So we are also planning to establish this. Okay, there was a committee, Percy Mystery Committee. Okay, we will write it down. What is that before the committee? So it is a special type of SEZ in which laws related to financial sector like banks, FIs, okay, stock exchanges, etc., foreign investor and convertibility are very liberal. Okay, now we'll also talk about that Percy Mystery Committee. Percy Mystery Committee 2007 established IFSC. Okay, so they have recommended to establish IFSC, that is Finance SEZ. What is the first IFSC? In Gujarat, that is Gujarat International Finance Tech City. Okay, GIFT, Gujarat International Finance Tech City, GIFT. Okay, which was established in 2015. Now what is the objective? Objective is basically to increase the tax revenue only. So objective, increase tax revenue. Okay, see, every year if you see, there is a rupee derivative trading of around 2 crore. Okay, 2 lakh crore is actually happening abroad. So if you can establish it as part of our SEZ, at least 1 lakh crore derivative trading will be happening through that. Okay, so that significant tax revenue can be collected. So that is actually the objective of establishment of this finance SEZ. So I just want to discuss these 2 points. There are 2 special types of SEZs. Okay, so reverse SEZ, these are special type of SEZ which are established in a foreign country having cheap and abundant input feedstock for importing their products to the home country, and we are establishing in Iran. And this is finance SEZ where the laws related to financial sector are very liberal, and we have established our first IFSC, Gujarat International Finance Tech City, in 2015. The objective is basically to increase the tax revenue which is coming out of rupee derivative trading abroad. Around 2 lakh crore rupee derivative trading happening every year. So if we can start here, at least 1 lakh crore is actually expected by the finance ministry. So I hope this is clear for all of you. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me here. My Instagram ID is Zia Safir. I actually take economic classes and sociology classes. So if you have any doubts related to economy, sociology, history, you can see my history videos in StudyIQ only, and the quantitative aptitude also I have covered. So you can go through that videos. Otherwise, if you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me. I do personal mentorship program for civil service aspirants also. So you can get in touch with me in this number. Okay, see you guys.